Hey guys, this is on Projections, aka 94673, and I'm back in Autumn's Journey Part 14. Yeah, 14. Yes, we're just gonna continue. You were anything but useless, little Mary. You wouldn't have survived. I wouldn't have survived if you hadn't come to my rescue. I felt like I didn't do much myself. If anything, the person who helped us the most was. We both turned to Kerr expectantly, and he flinched from our tender expressions. Oh, not now. Oh, that's kind of adorable. He coughed and gave us a haughty glare, placing his hand on his hips. That's right, I did most of the work. Sheesh, both of you are pitiful. Wait, what are you doing? We both embraced Kerr, refusing to let him go. Parasites. I laughed and stepped back while Kerr had to apply more force to free himself from Mary. Remembering the box, I returned to its hiding spot and pulled it out from the shrub. I was surprised it managed to make it through unscathed. Moments later, the other two surrounded me and peered over my shoulders as I unfastened the latch. Earth Dragon. Using our remains for weapons. Let's bury them, somewhere away from this battlefield, in case they decide to look for them. While Kerr fetched the mace, Ilmari and I walked until we reached the farthest fissure we could find. We were surprised by how much the rich and was affected by the mace's powers, and Kerr diligently deprived the remains from the weapon. He tossed them into the chest, and picking up the box, he emptied it over the fissures. He placed an open palm on the soil and stepped back, preparing myself for instabilities. The ground trembled lightly as the debris filled up there. When it was over, I sighed, feeling utterly exhausted. I've had enough earthquakes for one day. I'm completely shaken up. I mustered a weak giggle when Mary groaned. Heavenkind's humor is bad. Kerr wiped the dirt off his hands. What now? I grabbed my knight in training badge and glanced at it. With a dismissive wave, I tossed it to the ground. Both of them were stunned. Are you sure about this? It's something you worked for. I mean, I'm sure if you return to the guild and explain to the guild. He stopped when he saw me shake my head. No, the Argent Relegate is in on this. I don't want anything to do with them or the knights. Besides, Divishi had a point. The knights will report what happened, and I'll have no chance to redeem myself after that betrayal. Done. I took a few steps forward and turned to them so I could address them properly. Let's go home. Besides, I think this is something you should inform your masters about as soon as possible. If we can't rely on the guild to build a rapport between Heavenkind and Dragonkind, we'll need another angle. We headed back to the main road, careful of the stepstone and the carriage was gone, and we saw no other knights. Kerr explained that he had managed to drive them off, which was why it took him a while to come to our rescue. Without my knowing, I started to linger behind the two, my feet dragging slower with each step. The other two noticed and turned boringly. Stop it! Are you okay, Aura? I chuckled, trying to reassure them, but tears appeared anyway. I'm fine. Then I feel like a huge burden was lifted off my shoulders. But it still hurts. I wanted to be a knight for years. Now I'm accepting that it'll never happen. I worked so hard. My shoulders shuddered and I covered my face, feeling pathetic and worthless. I sensed someone standing before me and I glanced up. Kerr glowered unimpressed. He gave me a light smack to the forehead. What was that for? Kerr. I rubbed the spot angrily. Didn't I tell you this before? That is just a title. Yeah. Knights are supposed to help those in need. I think a certain someone has already been a knight for a while and spirit anyway. And in the end, you did the right thing. We can't thank you enough. Thanks. As we walked, I expressed concern over being sought out, and others reassured me that nothing like that would happen. I did uncover potentially unsettling activity that would be needed to be confronted after all. They would seek protection from other dragons to watch over Barry, and my heart sank when they avoided the notion that they would be the ones guarding. Guess they still had amends to make. Home. Fortunately, we did not remain long in Oliver. We were able to find a Barry resident who had delivered the last of his cargo into the city, and he offered to give us a ride back. We took it easy as we relaxed on the back of the wagon. I was still emotionally something, but I did my best to remain engaged in conversation, especially since it now tackled more sensitive issues. The wagon ride was smooth, but whenever a jolt or bump happened, I would stir and or bolt upward. However, I was able to have a nice nap for a while. My eyes fluttered when I heard Mary and Kerr's voice drift in and out, bringing it up to Master Sailor about the time that something looked beyond the skyline. Good luck getting them involved, Punctious Dragonkind. What really concerns me is how Heavenkind even found that something remains. They shouldn't have any meaning of essays. I'll see if Master Beatrice will arrange a meeting. Right, and I'll have to break this to Master Kaya gently. She'll be even more reluctant getting involved. I can imagine her reaction. Oh my, this is why you shouldn't interact with Heavenkind. The high-pitched voice caused Mary to burst out laughing. She doesn't sound... Okay, she does. You're more observant than I thought. I heard an expressive groan, because she's always with Master Beatrice, and I'm stuck listening to the uptight. Ah, you're up. Planning to sleep the whole afternoon away? I yawned, rubbing my eyes as the servant on vacation. We were passing through the forest near Barry, and I was leaning against Kerr's shoulder. Ilmari was sitting from across us, his hands folded in his lap. Yeah, Mas, what were you two discussing? Oh, just a lot of stuff that we have to do once we return, sooner the better. His face fell when he said, but he forced a smile to reassure me. And Kerr was entertaining me with his invitations. I wasn't even trying, but I could probably do better than Aura. I thought back to the scene in the forest when I poked fun at him during a meal. I admit it wasn't the most accurate impression. Kerr grinned teasingly. Hi, I'm Aurelie from Barry. I'll let my sword do the talking and ow! I about him and grumbled. I deny all that. Ilmari found the whole thing amusing. Me, imitate me! Kerr and I exchanged a smirk. I have a question. I have another question. I do not ask that many questions. Why? Ilmari, that was another... Ah! The wagon bumped abruptly and I bolted upright, clutching my chest to quell my reaction. A sturdy hand grabbed my shoulder and Kerr eased me back to my original sitting position. You okay? It was only a jolt. I heard the driver apologize while I waited for my heart to calm down. Yeah, I just didn't expect it. As I trailed off, I turned towards Kerr, only to see his face peering at me and causing my cheeks to blush. I quickly glanced away. I heard a polite cough as Ilmari interrupted the flustered atmosphere. I hope you don't mind me asking, where does this fear of earthquakes originate? Well, sorry to pry, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's alright, it's not usually brought up since it's rare for me to get caught in earthquakes or tremors. I ummed and hummed until I could find a good beginning point. It started when I was younger, my family lived in Oliver. Oh, sad music, shit. I would follow my mom everywhere when she did her patrols and visited different places. And now that I think about it, although some parts were still hazy, I recall being thrilled because I was going somewhere that had a lot of knights. Their brilliant armor, their beautiful shining blades, and how I dragged a wooden sword awkwardly around. It was at the academy. It was being expanded upon, and some parts were in the middle of renovation. I ran somewhere. I think I wanted to find an armor room or something. Anyways, when the earthquake hit, I don't remember much. Just everything seemed to collapse around me. After that, I couldn't ride in carriages or even enter large buildings without crying. My mom decided it was better for us to move away from Oliver and the memories associated with it. It took a long time, but eventually I got over certain fears. I focused on my night training, hoping to be stronger. Of course, my mom wouldn't send me to the academy. She had always been averse to night academies for other reasons. But my well-being definitely was one of them. Oh, that's the first time I've ever told people this story. Aren't you too lucky? No, I really appreciate it. I'm glad you trust us enough to tell us. As an dragon, though, I can't stand for it. What? He gave me a wry grin. You've got, over some fears. If you like, I can help you get over this earthquake one. No, that won't be necessary. You sure? I'm certain if I delivered a small tremors, your body would eventually get used to it. Think of it as a cure. That's terrible. That won't help me at all. That what? I can't talk. What would you call that torment anyway? There was an awkward pause before little Mary spoke up. Shock treatment? Don't look so smack. I groaned and shook my head, yet I couldn't help but chuckle at his feeble pun. Congratulations, little Mary. You have mastered heaven-kind humor and everything there is to know about our culture. There is nothing more to teach you. Kerr glanced between us quizzically and determined to figure out the pattern. I don't know. I felt the delivery was a little rocky. Little Mary burst out laughing. I could only gawk at Kerr, who seemed pleased at his own joke, and I make a cross with my arms. Banning puns. As we pestered each other relentlessly, I slumped down and glanced at the sky, wondering where these interactions had become second nature and routine. And it was all coming to an end. Not that we could help it. They had immense to make for running away. And now they would uncover something rather disquieting. They had to return and report to their masters. Once we reached Barry, the driver was kind enough to wheel us directly outside my family home. I eagerly hopped out of the wagon. It was evening, and I could see light from within my house. I had barely touched the doorknob when the entrance flew open, and my mother hugged me tightly. Mom! For a moment, I couldn't breathe because she was embracing me so tightly. When she finally let go, she grabbed my shoulders and examined me. You're home! Congratulations on saving the world! Mom, I didn't do anything that amazing. Did you become a knight? Are you happy? Yeah, I'm glad I went. She hugged me a second time. That's what a mother really wants to hear. She glanced up. Come in, we're going to have dinner ready in a bit. You're probably all starving. Your dad's currently preparing some warm apple cider. Nice! I haven't had that since last year. After Mana shut us in, she disappeared around the corner while I pulled up a seat on the table. Kerr even joined us this time. What's apple cider? Its sweet liquid tastes like old apple tarts. He stood up and slammed both palms into the table. I went through the whole journey without knowing such a thing exists. He looked as though his best friend had betrayed him. Surprise! Not this. Kerr decided to see how my dad prepared dinner and vanished as well. I hope my dad isn't making the alcoholic cider. Alcohol? It's something you add to drinks to make people silly and giddy. You mean legally. Well, if you were able to partake, I crossed my arms and shook my head feebly. That was a disaster waiting to happen. Oh, no, that's banned. I'm not dealing with drunk dragons. Little Mary looked completely baffled, but inquired no further thanks to my unwavering expression. Regular cider will suffice, I promise. We had a festive meal along with toast to our journey and the bonds we had forged. We excitedly told our stories, careful to avoid the most sensitive discoveries that we did not want to cause any unnecessary concern. My sides had never hurt so much from laughing before, and my mouth ached from grinning all the time. However, each sip of cider seemed to lose its sweetness whenever I thought about tomorrow. Right. They would leave in the morning. When dinner was concluded, I urged my friends to get some fresh air since I would help with the cleanup. They probably would want some time to themselves to reflect or visit a location anyway. I trooped up to my room and laid my back out. Everything felt so familiar and welcoming, like I had never left. Sensing a sort of routine, I snatched up my blanket to use it as a shawl. Might as well, this would probably be the last time to meet them like this. Oh man, this sucks. I'm sad. Have to end the episode. I think next episode will be the last one. See you guys. Bye.